Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So we got another weekend in 2026, another estate sale, and I was on a mission to pick up an awesome piece of 90s nostalgia before anybody else. So I hope you enjoy this estate sale, which turned out to be a time capsule from the 1990s.
But that's okay, that's what she wants, so.
Okay. Yeah, this is the top right here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How much? Stewart's. Matrix. Favorite Martian. What we got here? Whoa. These were behind VHS. What we got here? Is in here? Oh wow. I think they're in there. Vanishing point. Okay, everyone. So a little bit of background about this sale. It came up in one of my usual searches under vintage toys. But there was one item and one picture that I had never before seen at an estate sale or garage sale, and knew it would be quite a pickup if I were able to get to it first. So I arrived an hour and a half early to make my chances a little bit better. I ended up being second in line, and since it was the second week in January, still so cold, but during that time trying to warm up, I looked around the house because there were a lot of windows that weren't covered up, and just to see if I could pinpoint my item on the ground floor. But after walking around, I got a good idea that everything I was looking for was probably upstairs. So I located where the stairs were, and as you see, I made a beeline upstairs, found the toy room, and found my item from 1993 from Tiger Electronics. We have the deluxe Talk Boy. Everybody knows how it ties in to the classic Home Alone 2. Good old Kevin McAllister had quite a time pranking everyone with this thing, and it's become quite the item to look for. So when I saw it sitting on a shelf in one of the pictures, it was immediately the first thing that I grabbed, but I was quite surprised by how much I saw on it, and also the fact that makes it even more desirable, the original tape. So with the original tape and working, so it is probably, at least, I'm hoping, at least $200 item. And it's still in great shape. One of the things that people sought after is the battery compartment cover. So it's all here, and so happy to find it. The only other thing from Home Alone that I remember growing up that I always wanted to find, of course, is the Monster Sap, which is even more rarer to come across. And I know if I ever come across that, I'm definitely picking that up. But this was the main reason I toughed out the cold, and lucky I was able to find it. So awesome nostalgic piece from the early 90s. And one of the other things they saw me pick up is this. From 1991, we have the Nerf bow, which I still remember the birthday where this was attempted to be hidden from me behind the sofa on, I believe, my birthday. But I remember one of my cousins or siblings could not help but point it out by looking at it. So it wasn't kept a surprise for too long, and I still remember a lot of Nerf battles with this thing. Of course, I'm pretty sure all the original arrows have disintegrated in time, but one thing I don't remember is how much slack there was in the line here, but I guess that's something that happens over time. But I do remember the sight you could look through, and I remember before mine fully broke, the handle came off, so I used to have to shoot it like this. But this piece, it just took me back. I think it's probably one of the first Nerf weapons or anything that I remember getting was this piece right here, and I also saw it in the pictures, so it was my secondary thing to find. So I'm glad I came across it. I knew it would be in a patio area, so that's why I made a dash outside. But between the Nerf bow and arrow and the deluxe Talk Boy, it was already a mission success. And everything else, which I did find, about to lay it out on the table and show you, was just the cherry on top, because I had an awesome time in this house that so reminded me of my childhood in the early to mid 90s, and all the similar stuff, with a few added surprises too. Okay, everyone, so here we have everything else I picked up that estate sale. First off, we have the Uncanny X-Men adventure game. Now, I already have one of these games that includes X-Men figures, the Under Siege game, but I didn't have this one, so I decided to pick it up. All the figures are in there. I don't know if all the game pieces are in there. As you can see, the box is a little beat up, but it's still a nice 90s piece, and I love the 90s X-Men artwork on it. Reminds me of the arcade game that I used to play in the 90s. And here we have a nice selection of vintage Goosebumps books. What I like about these is how good a shape they're in. If you take a good close look, the bindings look amazing in these, because usually when you find these, they'll have the split right through the titles because the book has been opened up so many times, but these are in great shape. Did come across this surprisingly rare Good Burger VHS, and I've tested it and it works out just fine. Now, behind the books and other VHS, I did come across these PS1 video games. Now, a majority of them were just kind of cases and manuals. Here we have the cases that I found. And here were the only two that actually had the game in them. Crash Bandicoot and Crash Team Racing. Got a few manuals over here. Tony Hawk, Grand Theft Auto 3. This one's pretty cool. Metal Gear Solid VR Missions. Found this interesting VR Undertaker game, but unfortunately it doesn't work, but I thought it was pretty neat. And one of the original golden Pokemon books. But one of my most interesting finds of this is this Ninja Turtles cassette of one of the books you used to get from the Turtle series. And actually it still works. I actually tested it on the Talk Boy. So with everything you see here, plus the Talk Boy and the bow and arrow, one of the estate sale people just gave me a bulk deal of $50 for it all. So down in the comments, let me know what you think about that deal, and we'll get right on to the next surprise. Okay, everyone, so only a few hours after this awesome estate sale, I attended the Dead Meda Market pop-up here in Baton Rouge. It takes place at a few different places around town. This particular time it was at a brewery, but it essentially is a bunch of amazing vendors selling everything from VHS, DVDs, CDs, vinyl records, vintage toys and comics, and video games. So all the great stuff I'm always looking for, and I always have a great time coming across something that I've never seen before, and I just pick it up for a good price, because I like chatting with the vendors, great people, and this time was no different. This particular day, the rain started pouring down around about the time that the show was starting, but that did not hurt attendance, so check it out. So I managed to arrive at the Rally Cap Brewery right before the rain started coming down. It's a good place if you want to pick up a nicely crafted beer and oven-baked pizza, and this particular day just happened to be the venue for the Dead Meda Market. So the first team I'm about to hit up is the organizer, Jordan's Table. And he, of course, has boxes of vinyl and a multitude of VHS. One particular genre I'm always on the lookout for, the anime. Especially series I can't seem to come across in Blu-ray or even DVD. So I'm not sure why they're a lot harder to find, but it's always a good chance you come across it in VHS. And one particular title here I've been looking at, about to see me pick it up, is one I haven't seen since the VHS catalog days. So it turned out to be something I've always wanted to watch, and no surprise, at my first table, I come across my first pickup. I used to have that Mortal Kombat VHS. At the next table, my buddy Spencer has a multitude of different titles from every genre. I think he even had a VHS about sex ed from the 1950s, of all things. But not really what I was looking for this particular day. But if you're looking for anything from action, drama, horror, and comedy, he's got it. And my favorite are their ones in the back that are the more sought-after titles, which I'll about to see a little bit closer. Here he has his anime and his horror monster movies in the back. And there's one particular title that I kind of gravitated towards, one of my all-time favorite anime series. Because if you know about Guyver, you just know. Now, this particular run of this pretty amazing anime is different from the one I grew up with. So I wasn't sure if I had this particular episode, but I kind of kicked myself afterward because I didn't pick it up at this particular time, because I was thinking, I don't see Guyver anime VHS too often. But interesting note, a few shows before this one, Spencer did sell me the two Guyver movies on VHS, which I'm so happy to come across because that's a movie so hard to find on DVD for an affordable price. So next up, I'm about to show you the table next to it, Jack's table, and he's got always an amazing selection, high sci-fi and horror, as you see here. And one thing I'm going to say, if you ever make it out to a Dead Meda Market where they sell DVDs, VHS, you're going to come across so much that's just going to catch your eye. And I'm always thinking to myself, well, I haven't seen that movie in a while. And I haven't seen that movie in a while, but it starts to add up. And I don't know if I can drop that amount of money on VHS for movies that I know I'll watch and just put them in the library until next time I have that feeling. Because here I was kind of gravitating towards the Creature Back Lagoon movie, the Cadillac from Dinosaurs, and here the Vampirella movie, which I had forgotten existed. At the next booth, I forget the vendor's name, but he always has great stuff, a nice assortment of a lot of other collectibles other than, of course, he has VHS and all kinds of other little things, posters, cassettes, you name it. But I didn't quite see anything that caught my eye. I know he has a few interesting Godzilla pieces usually. And at the next table here, at my buddy Jonathan's table, came across a few awesome old paperbacks that I was kind of curious about, but they weren't the particular titles that I'm interested in. I love the art. I always love the covers of the old books, as you might know if you've seen the video about the Tarzan and Frazetta pickups. So it was pretty nice to see. I hadn't seen too many of those particular things at the Dead Meda Market, but I didn't want to disturb Jonathan's conversation, so I went on to the table that had pretty much like the best selection of vintage toys at the show. And it was interesting to learn that he actually had crafted some of these toys, especially that big Donatello and the big Faker He-Man. I got to thinking, I wonder if he would be able to craft either a gigantic battle beast. But here, I managed to sneak in to my buddy Steven's table, who specializes in all things horror. He never disappoints with having just an amazing selection of things, from horror, VHS, to children's books for like He-Man, The Mask, and Centaurians, things that I hadn't laid my eyes on in a few decades. And this was no different. Mad Monster Party on VHS. I remember telling him that I would have picked that up if I hadn't have found it at a garage sale on DVD. And it brought back a whole bunch of nostalgia watching that again. But I did have a good time looking through his crates full of media here. Just go through the assortment of different things, magazines, comic books. Now, these particular magazines I was really tempted on because I love the artwork of the 70s horror, especially the Marvel series. Something about the zombie art kind of jumps at you. Very visceral. I love the colors. But it's not particularly a series I collect or really wanted to get into, even though there's, looking back at it, not too many in the series. I decided to put them back, but they're real awesome to look at. And it's just a great assortment of things and great people to spend the afternoon about and talking about all this amazing stuff. But sometimes it's their things they're trying to pass on, so it's got some history with them. And I totally respect that as a collector, reseller. Like, when it's time to get rid of something after you had it for a while, you can talk about it for a while. Yeah. Once or twice I picked up a few Godzilla things from Steven. And this time around, I didn't get it on camera, but I picked up a few things at his table. which I'll be showing you here coming up. Okay, everyone, so I'm going to lay out all the other things that I picked up at this sale, but my first great find, of course, was a VHS from my buddy Jordan, the organizer of the event. I got this amazing anime that I actually always wanted to watch. I remember seeing it in the catalogs in the long ago days when you had to order from catalogs. Super Atragon, a anime based off a Toho monster movie that actually I only recently watched in its entirety, surprisingly, as one of the more obscure Toho Godzilla kaiju movies. And what I like about this particular one, it is an amazing example of the 90s anime, which if you are a connoisseur, you can tell just by looking at it. 70s, 80s, 90s, more modern 2000s anime, of course. But this one takes me back to those OVAs that I watched in the 90s, and so glad to find it. I just now have to find part 2 because I thought it was all on one VHS, but no such luck. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And for my buddy Steven, we have this awesome rental anime. What we got here? Transor, giant robo anime. I want to say from the early 80s or late 90s. I don't really know the exact date, but I just liked the cover because it has a very Shogun's Warriors look to it. So really happy to pick this up too. And now we're going to check out all the other little great things I picked up at the Dead Meda Market. Okay, here we have my relatively small haul from the Dead Meda. But for my buddy Steven, I also picked up the 1 through 5 of Topps Comics Mars Attack series from the 90s. I remember my buddy had this series. I remember reading his a long time ago because Topps cards, the series Mars Attacks and Dinosaur Attacks were two of my favorites. Now, I never came across the Dinosaur Attacks comics, but I had all the cards, and I was so glad to find these particular throwbacks to that era. So I'm looking forward to checking out that run. Comic wise, I also picked up Dark Horse Comics, The Thing from Another World. Love this series. I've only been able to find only a few of these. I know I didn't have issue 1, so I decided to pick it up. It was only like $1. And media wise, I finally came across this movie I always wanted to watch, Psycho Gorman, and it was exactly what I thought it was. Funny, campy, ultra gore movie. Not for the faint of heart if that's not your thing, but I thought it was amazingly hilarious. And I also got this Creature in the Black Lagoon pack of the second and third movies. Unfortunately, the original movie disc was not in here, but I got this for free actually when I found out that disc was missing. So, a nice little haul from the Dead Meda Show. Okay, everyone, so that's all I got for you for this video. I hope you like and comment down below. Let me know what you thought about the estate sale pickups and the Dead Meda Market footage. And speaking of the Dead Meda, I'm going to put up the flyer for the next show somewhere over here because it is happening on March 21st here in Baton Rouge. I am going to be there in some capacity, if not to vend, definitely to shop and meet all the great vendors once again. I'll also put the website somewhere down in the description so you can check that out. So if you like the footage for Dead Meda and just happen to be in Louisiana in 2 weeks, definitely check it out. So I'm going to do a special shout out to fellow YouTuber Earth Kid. Going to end this video like he does his by popping in a VHS. We're going to check out Transor Z, which I got from the Dead Meda Market, and put it into one of my favorite garage sale pickups, this Memorex DVD VHS CRT combo. So until next time, thanks for watching.
mortal men, the mightiest of machines. Random